Welcome back to another episode of Jason's Bricks in 5, where I discuss LEGO content in videos of 5 minutes or less. Recently, I have been building some older modulars that I've been lucky enough to acquire, and it got me thinking, with LEGO costs going up, I was curious, are we at least getting a better building experience than what we were getting before? And I've come up with a few things that I think are definitely different in how the build experience is. The first thing that jumps out is going to be the set details. When I look at an older set, for example, the Emporium, you look inside the interior there, it's pretty basic as far as the items that they have. I think if LEGO was to come out with a newer version of that modular today, you'd probably have a lot better selection of items to be purchased. You might have tiled floors, things like that. If you look at some of the newer modulars, for example, the Boutique Hotel that came out at the beginning of this year, you can see just in the details of the interior of the room the difference. And I think that's the first thing that jumps out at me. So the second thing that's jumped out at me, when I opened up those modulars, I found that the books and instructions were sealed in bags with a cardboard backing. I think that is actually something that is probably not better today, because a lot of times we get a set, especially smaller sets, I find the books are maybe bent or folded in there. A lot of times the stickers might kind of be mangled as well. And so that's one thing that I do kind of miss, actually. I think, when you're paying a few $100s for a set, you want to have a premium experience. And so I did prefer that. Overall, I think that's one thing that would be better. The next thing around the packaging of the sets has to do with the number of bags. Now, I think back to when I was young and first starting out with LEGO in the 80s, there was no numbered bags. It was just all of the pieces were in random bags and you had to build from what was there. Now, fortunately, we did not have anything like we do today. I don't know if you could imagine the Eiffel Tower with unnumbered bags. That would be a nightmare. But if you go back just 10 years, to these modulars, when we did the pet shop, for example, there were only bags numbered to 4. Yet you go to, say, for example, the Sanctum Sanctorum, that one has 18 different bags. And so, it creates a really different building experience, because you have a pile of bricks that are so much larger, which makes it more difficult. I just dump them out like I always have, kind of try to sort through them and do that. My wife, for example, when she gets those sets, she organizes those pieces out. So I guess it's to each their own, but I prefer the just dump it and dig method. Now, the last thing that really jumped out at me is around the instructions. There's a couple of options that we have now that we used to not have. For example, there's the app where you can download those instructions. You can zoom in and out. My wife really likes those. I'm not a big fan of that. I just prefer to use the paper and go to work. But she really likes that, to zoom in and see what's going on. The other thing that jumped out at me, a couple of items. On some of the newer sets, they have this progress bar, which is quite good, especially I think for younger builders. It kind of gives them an idea of how far along in the process they are. And then the other 2 items that I've really noticed has to do with the print quality on the older ones just is not quite as good as it is on the newer ones. So for example, when we were doing the pet shop, it looks like the black, the dark gray, and the light gray are very hard to tell apart. The black actually looks more like a dark gray, and so that caused some difficulty for me and my wife in trying to do that. The other thing that LEGO has done to improve that building experience, on the newer instructions, you will see there's that red outline of the new pieces that are being placed, and so that makes it a lot easier to see, what areas are you looking at. Some of the older ones, it was a little more difficult. If you're doing very similar pieces, larger build, sometimes it was harder to tell and it was easier to miss a piece. So overall, I would have to say that, a lot of the things LEGO has been doing has improved the experience and, made it better overall for us as consumers. Let me know what you think. Have you found that the building experience has improved, or are there things that you would like to see go back to? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Jason's Bricks in 5.